This is a rather lengthy video. I encourage you to pull up the website. I'll put the link below the video and research this for yourself. This is not fabrication made up by Trump. These are actual events that's happened since 2005 with illegals in this country. Watch the video. Alleged Mexican cartel hitman living illegally in Sandusky, Ohio for 10 years. Do Ohio's public officials care? Apparently not. That's not all. There's more. Let's have a look. Mexican illegal alien drug dealer involved in Ohio State football scandal. Check out the court opinion that shows the extent of this Mexican's ability to get fraudulent Mexican documents to present in U.S. courts. Perhaps when he gets out of jail, he'll be welcomed businessman by the idiot mayor of Dayton, Ohio, who wants to give illegals phony municipal IDs and will protect them from being disclosed as illegal aliens. If not, the loons in Oberlin City Hall might take him. Feel free to click on the link and read it for yourself. Culture of corruption. Who helped rip off Americans for $100 million in a veterans charity scam? Blanca Contreras, 39 years old, and her 2 daughters. Ohio judge gives her 5 years for ripping off $100 million in veterans charity scam. She gets 5 years from an Ohio judge. How did a Mexican illegal alien human smuggler get Ohio license plates? What's going on at Ohio's BMV offices? Bureau of Motor Vehicles. In Ohio, Mexican illegal alien arrested for raping 3-year-old while babysitting. What has your representatives in Ohio legislature or U.S. Congress done to stop illegal immigration? In most cases, nothing. I can't even pronounce his name, and I'm not going to try. He's reportedly from Mexico and illegally living in Ohio. Ohio. Mexican illegal alien arrested for molesting 4-year-old in Hamilton, Ohio. What has your representatives in Ohio legislature done, or U.S. Congress done, to protect Ohio's children from illegal alien criminals? In most cases, nothing. Many churches are aiding these criminals too. Mr. Torres, who's 20 years old, is reportedly from Mexico and has been living illegally in Ohio. Butler County prosecutor requests opinion from Ohio Attorney General on the arrest of illegal aliens. Wait, there's more from these dreamers at Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Kamala Harris and Bernie Sanders and that Oscar or Kotex or Cortez, whatever her name is. Illegal aliens charged with raping women in Ohio. Feel free to click on the link and read it. Illegal alien crime in Columbus, Ohio. Largest drug bust in Ohio. 2,500 pounds of pot and nearly $1 million in cash found. Yes, they're just coming here to better their lives. Dreamers. Want to work hard. Work hard selling their drugs and dope. And murdering and killing, robbing and stealing. Immigrants cheating on taxes in Ohio. A Bimbola ADMO arrested for tax preparation fraud before his flight to Nigeria. You would expect that after immigrants are given the legal opportunity to enter the United States, they would comply with our laws. However, far too many legal and illegal immigrants come here to take advantage of our system and steal us blind. I learn of new schemes all the time, and it appears many immigrant criminals are becoming rich at our expense. It's time to crack down on these schemes and send the convicted back to where they came from. Read the U.S. Department of Justice news release here. Feel free to click on it and read it. Poor migrant workers. Migrant workers apparently have enough money to purchase sex with children in Toledo, Ohio. Worst Mother Ever Award. What kind of mother would sell her children for sex? The same kind of mother that would sport a $500 to $900 cell phone with apps to sell her children for sex. Remember, these are people seeking asylum, supposedly, coming from hard economic countries with $900 cell phones, $300 tennis shoes, $100 jackets. There's plenty of videos of that. More executives indicted at pallet maker, IFCO Systems, for illegally hiring illegal aliens. Is American labor getting the shaft by foreign-owned businesses in the U.S.? While Ohio's Democratic politicians keep supporting illegal aliens run wild in Ohio. Below is a story about an alleged kidnapping and assault. No, these are dreamers, according to Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Kamala Harris, the Clintons, and all the other little loony Democratic communist liberals who want you to believe they're just dreamers seeking asylum, a better opportunity. And they are seeking a better opportunity to steal, rob, and murder you blind. They don't want you to know this. CNN and MSNBC and NPR Radio, National Public Radio, do not want you to know this. They figure the less you know, the less you see and hear, they can get by and push their agenda to get these people over here, millions of them, to vote for the Democratic Party. Because the Democratic Party is so disgusting and pathetic, nobody would really vote for it. So they have to usher in and import in all these pathetic criminals from third world countries to prey on you, your family, your kids, your wives, your girlfriends, your community, your neighborhood, your country, your state, your city, and your towns. You're about to see crime escalate like you've never seen once they find out everything here isn't free like they were told by that group without borders. And the Democrats, the liberals, the communists and socialists. Their lies. You're going to see crime explode. More cops, LEOs, ambulance workers, fire department officials being shot and killed, robbed. Teachers. It's open season on the American people by the Democratic, communist, socialist, terrorist liberals. Illegal aliens' corrupt culture brings mass murder to Ohio's doorstep. I'm going to read that again. Illegal aliens' corrupt culture bring mass murder to Ohio's doorstep. 4 illegal aliens from Mexico would have been better off if they had complied with U.S. law. The 4 were illegally living and working in Ohio until they were murdered. Feel free to click on the link and read it. Educate yourselves. Another illegal alien found guilty of raping Ohio woman. Which of Ohio's public officials support illegal aliens in Ohio? Just to name a few. Well, this probably isn't current. It's probably a couple, 3 or 4 years old. Governor Ted Strickland, U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, Congresspersons Dennis Kunich, Marcia Fudge, Betty Sutton, and Marcia Kaptur. Another woman raped in Ohio by an illegal alien because many of Ohio's politicians oppose allowing Ohio law enforcement from doing their jobs. The federal government, the Obama administration, refuses to secure our borders and enforce existing immigration laws in Ohio and elsewhere. Illegal alien criminals in Ohio. Armando Hernandez, 27, guilty of abduction and 3 counts of rape. Tens of thousands of illegal alien criminals are in Ohio committing all types of crimes, from murder to rape to illegal narcotics trafficking. To identify theft and child sex trafficking. Why? Because many of our public officials are allowing it to happen in order to gain support from the so-called Hispanic vote. And that is a fact. That's the only reason they'd be doing it. Illegal aliens demonstrate their family values. 6 illegal aliens indicted in armed Ohio kidnapping of family. Drug deal gone bad. Iowa egg producer under investigation has ties to Ohio egg farm. Is anyone really surprised that firms that hire illegal alien labor have sanitation problems? Did you see the undercover report on hotel workers that showed them washing drinking glasses with the same rags they wash toilets with? Folks, many of these people have no idea what the words sanitary or hygienic mean. Here is a link to the story about the recent salmonella scandal involving millions of potentially tainted eggs. Egg on their face. Violations for hiring illegal alien labor. Now salmonella problem. Not surprising. Alleged human trafficking in Lorain County, Ohio. No. Alleged human trafficking in Lorain County, Ohio, as well as other states across the country, by these third world migrants that the Democrats are wanting to usher and import into the United States. Unbelievable. Mexican meddling corner. How long has Mexico been peddling its fraud-prone matricula IDs in Ohio? At least 7 years. The Mexican consul was marketing its fraud-prone Mexican matricula IDs to U.S. financial institutions since at least 2003, as evident in the below link. The Mexican government has been asking U.S. banks and other financial institutions, as well as local governments, to accept the Mexican matricula ID cards as legitimate ID. However, the only Mexican citizens who need these cards are Mexicans in the U.S. illegally. Any Mexican national in the U.S. legally already has valid ID in the form of a passport. Click on the link to read it. Go to the website, click on the link to read it. Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles fails to meet federal security standards. Asked feds for real ID extension. The Bureau of Motor Vehicles has already had 4 years to do the job. The obvious question is, why is Ohio still not in compliance? Boo-hoo, Ohio's illegal aliens and their supporters moan and cry and whine about driver's license crackdown. Do these illegal aliens and their Marxist supporters have any shame? They knowingly enter the U.S. illegally. Knowingly enter the U.S. illegally. I'm going to say it again. They knowingly enter the U.S. illegally and expect our government and taxpayers to cater to their every need. Yeah, it's called entitlements. They now complain that because their fraudulent obtained licenses will be canceled, they won't be able to drive so comfortably to their illegal place of employment. November 2nd, 2009. Imagine that. Or, as Paul Joseph Watson would say, imagine my shock. Latino group sues Ohio to stop state from canceling fraudulent Latino Hispanic vehicle registrations. I want to read that again. Latino group sues the state of Ohio to stop the state from canceling fraudulent, phony, bogus vehicle registrations. Now, does that make sense to you? Think about it. Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles scandal deepens. Longtime Democratic Party hack Henry Guzman undermined public safety, according to the Ohio Inspector General's report. Strickland appointee allowed illegal alien criminals to obtain Ohio vehicle registrations. Unbelievable. Casa Fiesta Mexican restaurant chain owner Raymond J. Ornelas faces prosecution for immigration and tax charges. The owner of a Norwalk, Ohio-based Mexican restaurant chain faces charges including harboring and concealing illegal aliens, mail fraud, and filing false tax returns. Federal agents raided the Ohio-based restaurant in 2008 and identified over 50 illegal aliens illegally working at the eateries. No! Imagine my shock. 50 people indicted in Ohio marriage fraud scheme. I imagine you can just about guess what that involves. Illegals coming over here and marrying legal U.S. citizens so that they can be legalized. ID crimes at Dayton area Cargill plant involved the fraudulent use of valid Puerto Rican birth certificates, Social Security cards, and Ohio ID cards by illegal aliens. I'll read that one again. ID crimes at a Dayton area Cargill plant involved the fraudulent use of valid Puerto Rican birth certificates, Social Security cards, and Ohio ID cards by illegal aliens. How many terrorists have been able to purchase valid Ohio IDs? Who is responsible for securing valid Ohio IDs? Again, click the link and read it, if it's still good. Mexican illegal alien arrested for 4 murders in Sharonville, Ohio in 2007. A Mexican illegal alien arrested for 4 murders in Sharonville, Ohio in 2007. Stop right there. We just had an illegal alien from El Salvador murder 4 people in 2019 west of Reno, Nevada. 3 elderly people, and I believe 1 middle-aged woman shot to death by an illegal alien from El Salvador, and he's been caught. I have another video up about that in detail. Feel free to watch it. According to news reports, Santiago Marino, 34 years old, an illegal alien who was illegally working for ABC Precision Masonry in Mason, Ohio, has been arrested in Mexico for the 2007 slayings of 4 of his roommates in the Sharonville, Ohio apartment. And U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown wants to give over 12 million illegal aliens amnesty and allow them the financial benefits of U.S. citizenship and Ohio jobs. Imagine my shock. Ohio sheriff arrests illegal aliens with cocaine and cash. No. It's not what it was. It was sugar, man. It was sugar. Sugar and cash. That's what the Democrats will have you believe. It was sugar, not cocaine. And who had the Ohio welfare card that was also found? I'll read that again. Who had the Ohio welfare card that was also found? Note, U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown just co-sponsored legislation SB 9 that will result in billions more in taxes to feed, provide housing, and educate millions of illegal aliens at the taxpayer's expense. It's time that Sherrod Brown resign before his foolish political beliefs bankrupt Ohio and the nation. And as it says, read drug arrest story here. Again, imagine my shock. Let's go on. Illegal alien from Mexico attempts to infiltrate sheriff's office in Ohio, charged with fraud. Well, we all know they tried to pose as border patrol officials in fake pickup trucks with stickers and everything and got caught. Wouldn't surprise me that they didn't try to infiltrate the sheriff's office in Ohio or some other state. I don't put nothing past them. Armed Mexican illegal alien drug cartels flood Ohio with cocaine to sell to kids. Why is Ohio U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown doing nothing to stop it? Because he needs votes. That's why. FBI makes arrests, seizes 5 million. 5 million in Mexican cartel cocaine in suburban Cleveland. There you go. There's a good down payment on the border wall, huh? Democrats ain't gonna like that because now they can't get all this illegal drug money funneled into their campaign coffers. Imagine my shock. Ohio BMV Bureau finally moving towards canceling thousands of driver's licenses used by illegal aliens. What took so long? Illegal aliens working hard to make heroin addicts out of Ohio's children. No. It's a vaccine, man. That's what the Democratic, liberal, communist, socialist will have you think. It's a vaccine. Heroin. I wouldn't put it past them. More Ohioans killed by illegal aliens. Illegal alien Jesus Burnell guilty of killing of Cincinnati couple. What are Ohio's Democrats doing to stop it? Nothing. James and Margie Rook's killer has been sentenced to 55 years in prison at the taxpayer's expense. However, that doesn't mean much to the Rooks, who are now dead, because Ohio politicians, including U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown and Congressman Dennis Kunich, if you remember him, keep supporting amnesty for illegal aliens, like the Rook's killer. If that's not bad enough, these Ohio politicians work to undermine any meaningful enforcement of U.S. immigration laws. Their sympathies are with illegal aliens, not Ohio citizens, or the rest of the American public across the United States and any state. Challenge to Democrats. If there are any public officials who are Democrats, other than me, who are doing something substantive, not just talk, to stop illegal immigration in Ohio, please write me and tell me what you have done. I may write a story about your efforts, or lack of efforts, or corruption in efforts. Here we have two dreamers. Illegal aliens, indicted for manslaughter in Ohio. While Ohio politicians like Dennis Kunich, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, and Sherrod Brown keep telling us that illegal aliens are harmless, why are so many Ohioans being killed by illegals? Illegal aliens indicted for manslaughter in Ohio. Again, imagine my shock. And Lord knows we've seen this crime a few times. Ohio professor's hate crime. Hoax, hoax, hoax. Lands her in jail. Professor's hoax, hoax, hoax. Cost taxpayers $66,000. Dr. Ramani Sri-Pilla, age 41, of Cleveland Heights, Ohio, has been convicted and sentenced to prison for claiming she was the victim of an ethnic and gender hate crime. She's not the first. Pilla turned out just to be a liar. This is not the first educator, communist, socialist, liberal activist educator who has attempted to claim victimhood by lying to authorities. Yeah, imagine my shock. Columbus, Ohio immigration attorney Lillian Asante, 37 years old, pleads guilty in own marriage fraud scheme. Another immigration attorney involved in fraud. No surprise. Egyptian physician in Ohio on work visa pleads guilty, defrauded Medicare of millions of your tax dollars. Well, no wonder the Democrats want Medicare for all. Yeah, they'll be so swamped with fraud from all these illegals, that's what they're not telling you. CNN and MSNBC, ABC News, NBC, CBS, and NPR National Public Radio. They're not going to tell you that. Let's inundate the system with so much fraud it'll be almost impossible to catch. 8 Hispanic illegal aliens charged in December shooting, kidnapping, and assault of Columbus, Ohio mother and daughter. Wait, I thought these were dreamers. All these good people from these third world countries, El Salvador, Haiti, Guatemala, Mexico, Rio de Janeiro. Thought they were all coming here to make everything better. This is the Democrats' way of trying to make you think they're here to make everything better. To better their own lives. Yeah, by stealing, robbing, kidnapping, selling drugs, murder, extortion. Yeah, just pathetic how these liberals are trying to actually brainwash you people. And CNN and MSNBC and all those liberal news outlets are pushing the phony, bogus agenda. Until now. Is the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles hiring crooks to pass out Ohio ID cards to illegal aliens? The U.S. Department of Homeland Security seems to think so. Indicted on charges related to the operation of the multi-state counterfeit ID ring. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 illegals indicted. Unbelievable. Illegal aliens arrested and plead guilty in $3.7 million jewelry robbery in Columbus, Ohio. Well, folks, it's only going to get worse once they all arrive over here and find out everything ain't free. Free, free, free. They're not entitled to all this free, free, free stuff that the Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Terrorist, Liberals want them to believe. That's what they're being told. They're being lied to, used as political pawns for the Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Terrorist Party. Former Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles worker Nikia Mack Fuller of Reynoldsburg, Ohio, found not guilty. Other defendants sentenced in massive fraud ID case. Governor Strickland has failed to secure weaknesses in Ohio's Bureau of Motor Vehicle offices, which are now run by private agencies. As a result, countless thousands of illegal aliens have likely been able to fraudulently obtain valid Ohio's ID driver's licenses. Investigation alleges illegal alien used Ohio man's ID to work and rack up $81,000 in debt. IRS goes after Ohio victim for unpaid taxes, uncovers illegal alien fraud. No, you don't say. Illegal alien from El Salvador. See, they're not all from Mexico. They're good people. El Salvador, as well as Guatemala and the rest of those third world foreign countries, expected to be charged in Cleveland woman's 2001 murder. Cleveland native Chandra Levi, if you remember all that back then, murder had gone unsolved since 2001. The murder drew national attention in part because the subsequent murder investigation revealed that the young U.S. Bureau of Prisons intern was reportedly involved romantically with former Democratic Congressman Gary Condit of California's 18th Congressional District. Investigators are now expected to charge Ingemar Guandic, an illegal alien from El Salvador, with Levi's murder. It has been reported that Guandalik, who at that time was 27 years old, was previously convicted of attacking other women in the same park around the same time that Levi disappeared. No. They're just here to fleeing from a bad situation. We need to give them all the things we can. They're entitled to so much for free. Free. Another Mexican national living and working illegally in Ohio is arrested in Christmas multiple injury wrong way car crashes. When will Ohio's public officials, primarily Democrats, stop supporting amnesty for illegal aliens and begin to protect Ohio families, jobs, and safety? Mexican drug cartels use illegal aliens to sell heroin in Ohio. Ohio family grieves over family member's death. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, this is going against everything that you are trying to tell the American people in your press conferences. What do you got to say, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, Oscar Cortez, or Kotex, whatever your stupid name is, that young 29-year-old skank from New York? While Ohio Dems continue to block a crackdown on illegal aliens in Ohio, Ohio senior citizen reportedly gets raped and robbed by a 14-year-old Mexican alien with a gun. No. Jerry Brown of California, the governor of California, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders. What do you got to say? I mean, seriously, what have you got to say? And Don Lemon and Jake Tapper, CNN. What do you got to say? This is all made up, right? Wrong. Click the links and see for yourself. You have been lying to the American people of both parties for long enough. And it's time you get exposed for your lies, your spin, your rhetoric, and your bullshit. And I'm calling you on it. No, we ain't done yet. 9 indicted in alleged fake documents operation at 3 Ohio used car dealerships. I'm not even going to bother to read their names, but we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 illegal aliens indicted in alleged fake documents operations at 3 Ohio used car dealerships. Why were some of these defendants released on their promise to appear for future court dates? Does the judge, let's back up, does the communist liberal judge really think they will show up? Yeah. And that's what we've got, a bunch of communist, liberal, socialist judges out here that are traitors to this country. A Dominican aliens indicted for heroin distribution in Ohio. While Cleveland politicians like Congressman Dennis Kunich, U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown, County Commissioner Tim Hagan, and U.S. Senator George Voinovich and Congresswoman Stephanie Tubbs Jones continue to support illegal aliens in Ohio, more illegal aliens are being indicted in Ohio for terrible crimes against Ohioans. After a 16-month investigation called Operation Slim Jim, the FBI and U.S. Attorney White announced the indictments this week that Moises Ruiz, an illegal alien from the Dominican Republic, and his gang for transporting large quantities of heroin and cocaine worth millions of dollars from Mexico through Arizona and to Columbus, Ohio, and other major cities. I'm going to read that again just so I can beat this into you Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Terrorist, Liberals' head. Moises Ruiz, an illegal alien from the Dominican Republic, and his gang for transporting large quantities of heroin and cocaine worth millions of dollars from Mexico through Arizona and to Columbus, Ohio, and other major cities. From there, the indictment alleges that the illegal drugs would be redistributed to Greater Cleveland. The indictment also alleges that illegal aliens would obtain and utilize multiple fraudulent identities to conceal their illegal alien status, facilitate their drug trafficking activities, and avoid law enforcement detection. Remember to thank these politicians at election time for helping illegal aliens live in our country, communities, and spread their life-destroying poison to your children and family, and the poverty, rape, burglary, and murder that follow when addicts need money for their next fix. And that's what the Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Terrorist, Liberals want for America's youth. They want them all on drugs so they can't get a job and pass a drug test. Then they got no choice but to rob, steal, and murder from you working people. Whether you're a man, woman, a business owner, doesn't matter. As soon as they get everybody on these drugs, it's going to be open season. All these illegals over here robbing and stealing, raping, murdering, molesting your kids, your wives, your daughters, your girlfriends. But the Democratic liberals, the communist socialist terrorists, and CNN, MSNBC, those networks, they aren't going to come out and tell you this. And you won't be able to post this on communist Mark Zuckerberg's Facebook or Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter. Now, he'll block and ban you because he's communist too, just like Mark Zuckerberg. They're all communists, terrorists to the United States. Evidently, some illegal aliens have the stomach to destroy American families with heroin. Jamie Sanchez Ospina, a Colombian national, illegally living in Stamford, Connecticut, was sentenced in December to 33 months in prison for re-entering the United States after twice being deported. According to court documents, on March 18th, 1994, Sanchez Ospina was arrested for possession of approximately 2.5 pounds of heroin that he was hiding in his stomach. Connecting the dots. How illegal alien drug smugglers, heroin creates more crime and destroys American families. Here is a story about American heroin addicts who need a heroin fix so badly they trade guns for the drugs. Their guns end up in the hands of criminals and they will go to prison. Here is a true story about how heroin killed a young man from southern Ohio and devastated another American family. Alien drug trafficker from Belize, of all places, Belize, set up large drug transportation and distribution ring in Ohio. Centerville, Ohio, executive pleads guilty, hired and harbored illegal aliens. Joseph Edward Fulmer faces fines and jail. That's what he gets for ignoring OJJPAC warnings not to hire illegals. Suspected illegal aliens arrested with 150 fake, bogus Ohio and Tennessee ID cards. Are you listening, law enforcement officials? Are you listening, Democrats? Suspected illegal aliens arrested with 150 fake Ohio and Tennessee ID cards. But according to Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Kamala Harris, Bernie Sanders, and that Oscar Cortez, whatever her name is, and that other Middle Eastern terrorist congresswoman, they're just here to better their lives and make our lives better. According to the Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Terrorist liberals. That's what they want you to believe. We're finding out different now, aren't we? Illegal alien in Ohio sentenced to prison for Social Security fraud and aggravated ID theft. Guatemalan Bernardo Marcus Madam, whatever his name is, 38 years old, who was living illegally in Dover, Ohio, was sentenced yesterday by United States District Court judge to 38 months in prison. A federal grand jury in Cleveland, Ohio, returned a 7-count indictment last June charging Marcos Madam with false claim to United States citizenship, aggravated identity theft, and Social Security fraud. Marcos Madam was also ordered to pay restitution in the amount of $2,000 $816 to the U.S. citizen whose identity he stole. According to the victim, the theft of his identity documents resulted in poor credit reports, in his inability to obtain employment for which he was qualified, and a criminal record based on the activity of the defendant or others using his identity. And that, Americans, is what you're up against. But don't expect the Democrats, the liberals, the communist socialists to come out and report this, or CNN, or MSNBC, or NPR, National Public Radio, or ABC News, specifically ABC News, The View, with those female communists on there that sable rattle. They just run their mouths and all kinds of diarrhea comes out on ABC's The View. Gun from Ohio robbery used in shootout between illegal aliens and New York City police. One gunman killed and New York City officers shot. New York City is a sanctuary city for illegal aliens thanks to New York City's mayor. That is no shit. Click and read the story. Illegal alien living in Cleveland indicted as alleged ringleader of heroin drug trafficking organization. More illegal aliens working with illegal immigrants to allegedly distribute and sell heroin to your children. September 3rd, 2007, this report aired. Illegal aliens suspect in Wisconsin fatal hit-and-run death of a teenager captured in Ohio. Police in Ohio have captured Carb Ajal Lyle, an illegal alien wanted in Wisconsin for an August 14th fatal hit-and-run accident that killed a teenage boy. Carb Ajal Lyle was captured in Ohio after being arrested on an unrelated charge. I can only imagine. ICE raids Ohio poultry processing plant. Nets 160 alleged illegal aliens. And if you don't know what a poultry processing plant is, it's where they process chickens and turkeys and whatnots. Well, maybe they should have processed those illegal aliens and fed them to the hogs, along with some prominent Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Terrorist Democrats. Illegal alien living in Hamilton, Ohio, arrested and raped, escapes. Law enforcement asked public's help to find rape suspect. The Ohio State Highway Patrol is seeking the public's assistance in capturing fugitive Juan Romero Barahora, who was arrested on first-degree felony rape charge, then escaped. Imagine my shock. Judge sentences Ohio small business owner to prison, takes $770,000 home and cash to for hiring illegal aliens. Ohio business owners who hire illegals need to take OJJ PAC's warnings of arrest seriously or expect to spend time behind bars. Elvira Arellano arrested in Los Angeles. Illegal alien fugitive finally in custody after trip to California. I think they were looking for him for several months. All over the country, they finally got his ass. Another example how illegal aliens are turning Ohio's children into drug addicts. Mexican illegal alien pleads guilty to trafficking. Mexican plan to distribute cocaine worth $5.1 million. Mexican plan to distribute cocaine worth $5.1 million. There you have it. Why do so many of Ohio's public officials want to make citizens out of illegal alien criminals? An illegal alien, Stillhauer Vasquez, 20 years old, pictured to the right, has pleaded guilty to trafficking in cocaine to Ohio's children and will spend 6 years in prison. Vasquez was arrested after he sold a kilo of cocaine for $21,000 to undercover narcotics agents. Find this and other Ohio stories here. Thousands of alleged illegal alien sex offenders arrested in Operation Predator. Approximately 85% of those arrested were foreign nationals in the U.S., according to the Department of Homeland Security. No. Drunk illegal alien working in Sydney, Ohio, literally runs into off-duty immigration agent. August 23, 2007. 2 Mexican illegals allegedly hit the vehicle of an off-duty immigration agent and fled the scene of the accident. Police chase leads to their arrest. That happens quite a lot, especially in Arizona, Nevada, and California. And Oregon and Washington now, I hear. Temporary Employment Agency employed illegal aliens at several job sites across northern Ohio. Was sentenced to 30 months in prison after pleading guilty to a number of charges stemming from an illegal alien hiring scheme. Nigel was convicted of conspiracy to transport and harbor aliens, conspiracy to commit money laundering, conspiracy to commit mail fraud, conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and harboring illegal aliens, employing 10 or more illegal aliens, and money laundering. And this is what the Democratic, communist, socialist, liberal terrorists like Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Maxine Waters, Camellia Harris, and now Oscar Cortez, or Kotex, whatever her name is, want to usher into your city, your state, your country, your community, your schools, your hospitals, your police departments, your prisons, your jails. This is what they want to usher and import into your country and your state and your community. These individuals. These good individuals who are going to make your community and your city and your state, your town better, and your schools and hospitals and whatever. Think about that for a minute. Uncontrolled legal and illegal immigration is fueling crime and new diversity of ethnic gang activity in Ohio. Marijuana grown in suburban Ohio basements linked to Vietnamese gangs. Now I want to read this highlighted part to y'all. Partisanship has also been apparent in the battle over sanctuary policies to this day. For example, in October of 2015, back when communist Obama was still president, the U.S. Senate held a cloture vote on Senate Bill 2146, which was introduced by Louisiana Senator David Bitter. The Senate's bill intent was to penalize cities that provided sanctuary to illegal aliens in defiance of federal law. In a party-line vote, Senate Democrats overwhelmingly supported sanctuary cities by denying the necessary 60 votes needed to end debate, thereby killing the bill. In July 2016, partisanship also killed 2 anti-sanctuary bills in the U.S. Senate. Senate Bill 2193, known as Cates Law, and Senate Bill 3100, the Stop Dangerous Sanctuary Cities Act, were both defeated during procedural motion votes by members of the Senate Democratic Caucus. President Trump's dramatic November 8th election victory stunned open border advocates, in other words, those communist socialist terrorists of the Democratic Liberal Party, who vowed to fight any attempt by President Trump to enforce the rule of law and deport illegal aliens. Trump vowed to crack down on sanctuary cities by cutting federal funding has set stage for a battle of wills with a number of small and big city mayors. Those are communist, socialist, terrorist mayors of the Democratic Liberal Party. These cities, primarily run by socialist, communist, terrorist progressives who have transformed the Democratic Party into a far left-wing radical terrorist party, have openly stated that they will continue to defy federal law and refuse to cooperate with federal immigration and customs enforcement officials. Well, I got a simple solution for that. It's called handcuffs and leg irons for those officials with the Democratic, communist, socialist, liberal, terrorist regime. That includes you, mayors, councilmen, councilwomen, city administrators, police chiefs, sheriffs, and anybody else that wants to be put in handcuffs, leg irons, and learn how to make little rocks out of big rocks. 7 days a week, 18 hours a day for the next 55 years. Better be damn glad I'm not your president, because that's exactly where every one of you would be. You'd have a chain around your ankle, a ball, a sledgehammer in your hand, and you would be learning to make small rocks, gravel, out of big rocks. 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, for 55 years. On March 15th, 2017, article written by Joseph Gahaya, whatever his name is, for the East Bay Times. The chairman of the city of Fremont, California, stop it right there, the city of Fremont, California, Human Rights Relations Commission, is quoted as saying, "There are strengths in numbers. The more communities, the more cities that sign on to sanctuary city status, the more difficult it will be for the federal government to do anything about it." The Fremont City Council passed its sanctuary resolution that day. And that was March 15th, 2017, article written by Joseph Gahaya for the East Bay Times. The chairman of the city of Fremont, California, Human Relations Commission. Doesn't mention his name. Damn good thing I'm not your president, because that chairman with the city of Fremont, California, would already be in handcuffs and leg irons, learning how to make small rocks out of great big rocks. Make no mistake about it, I don't play games. I don't fuck around. If I want your ass, I'm going to get it. There's nothing you can do about it. Just like he thinks there's nothing the federal government can do about him breaking the law. Want to bet? A sanctuary flash mob strategy. I'll say that again. A sanctuary flash mob, meaning the migrant caravans we're seeing in 2018, 2019, strategy does appear to be the progressive Democrats' plan to overwhelm President Trump's efforts to rein in sanctuary jurisdictions by threatening cuts in federal funding. This is a very important paragraph right here. because this is the communist, the democratic communist, socialist terrorists, liberals' game plan. People, this is a war. Make no mistake about it, we are at war. They are threatening the United States of America, these democratic, communist, socialist, terrorists regime. They're not a party, they're a regime. By invading America, the United States of America and Canada, because Canada's going through this too, with as many third world migrants from any country they can get, and turning them loose in your country, your state, your city, your town, your community, your schools, your hospitals, your jails, your prisons, your universities, your colleges. They think they're going to get everything for free for life. They're being told they're entitled. They are entitled to this once they get to America, the United States, and Canada. If any of you have any doubts about Canada, go to YouTube and type in Faith Goldie. Faith Goldie. She has a YouTube channel, and she's exposing what's happening with that Justin Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada, and what he's doing. He's another Obama. He's a communist, a socialist, terrorist. Faith Goldie on YouTube. Watch her videos. But as the threatening funding cuts did not occur, cities resumed their consideration of sanctuary policies, sometimes also referred to as welcoming policies. Some existing sanctuary cities also began to double down on their policies. They included more restrictions on information sharing and filed lawsuits claiming that it was unlawful for the federal government to cut some or all of the threatened funding. In January 18th, 2018, interview, Oakland, California Mayor Libby Schaaf said it would defend the city's illegal alien sanctuary policy even if it results in her jailing. Another communist, socialist terrorist. In Oakland, California, Mayor Libby Schaaf said she would defend the city's illegal alien sanctuary policy even if it results in her jailing. My God, these people are some mentally twisted bastards. How in the hell did she ever get elected to the Oakland, California as mayor? She needs to be recalled, impeached, whatever needs to be done, but get rid of her. I got a few choice things I could throw into. We'd never hear from her again. The state of California's refusal to cooperate with federal immigration agents is also getting blowback from some Californians, including citizens and public officials. They believe that state's refusal to cooperate with the federal immigration agents is a violation of federal law and puts their citizens at risk. Well, you damn right it is. Let me give you some prime examples of what I'm talking about. Federal law. How many of you out there watching this video, pay attention now, are wives or girlfriends, or maybe you yourself as a female, or a truck driver? A truck driver, an over-the-road, long-haul, or regional truck driver. How many of you out there are that? And you've got a federal law that you have to abide by. I know, because I used to drive a truck for 25 years. If you don't abide by the federal DOT laws and state laws, what happens to you? You get fined and even possibly arrested. I'll say it again. You get fined and possibly even arrested. That includes falsifying your logbook and especially hauling over weight, over length, over height, not having your vehicles registered, your apportion plate on the front of your tractors. For those of you who know what an apportioned base plate is on the front of your rigs. If you don't have the proper permits when you roll across the scale or the port of entries, what happens to you? You get shut down, fined, and possibly arrested. Now, should you go through a scale and they find out, do an inspection and find out your brakes are out of adjustment or any other thing wrong with your rig, you get shut down and you have to fix it right then and there, plus a fine. Am I not right, truck drivers? Damn right I'm right. But we got mayors here that are refusing to follow federal law, along with some law enforcement officials, police chiefs and sheriffs, not all of them, but a few. We got some city council members, congressmen and senators that are refusing to follow the law. But they expect me and you to. But they don't have to. They can break the law and nothing happens to them. And that needs to change. And if I was president, they would already be in handcuffs and leg irons in front of the TV cameras as they are paraded out of their public offices at City Hall, the governor's mansions, Senate and Congress, into an awaiting paddy wagon. Make no mistake about it, they would be in handcuffs and leg irons as I parade them out in front of the news media in handcuffs and leg irons and put in the back of a paddy wagon. And if you all think President Trump is bad, if you think he's your monster, which he's not, you better be damn glad that I'm not your fucking president. Because I don't play games and I don't give a shit who I piss off or if I hurt your feelings. I'm not interested in your phony, bogus, criminal agenda that you democratic, communist, socialist terrorists have. Get that fucking straight right now. You're scum. I got no use for you. In March 2018, the City Council of Los Alamos, California, made national news when it voted to reject and exempt itself from the state's recent sanctuary law. The state law prohibits California cities and state government from cooperating with federal immigration agents. Right, some new law they just made up and passed. Since then, other cities in California are now considering or have passed similar anti-sanctuary ordinances. Pro-sanctuary non-profit groups like the American Friends Service Committee are advocating for sanctuary everywhere policies throughout the United States of America. I'm going to read that again in case you didn't get it. Pro-sanctuary non-profit groups like the American Friends Service Committee are advocating and promoting for sanctuary everywhere policies throughout the United States of America. Now, you stop and digest that for a minute. Okay, here's a list currently of states that have sanctuary city statuses. I'm going to read them all off. Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama. The Birmingham City Council passes Sanctuary City Resolution according to WBRC Fox TV, February 1st, 2017. Alaska. The city of Anchorage has been removed from the Sanctuary Cities list. The city forwarded a resolution stating it will now cooperate with Department of Homeland Security. The city of Fairbanks had previously been listed due to its designation as a sanctuary city by the Congressional Research Service. OJJ PAC thanks the City of Anchorage for taking positive steps to clarify its compliance with federal law. Anchorage's enforcement statistics will be monitored for compliance. The City of Fairbanks has been removed from the city's sanctuary cities list due to the City Council's passage of resolutions supporting a formal recognition of its cooperation with the Department of Homeland Security and Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The City of Fairbanks had previously been listed due to Arizona. This is going to be good. Chandler, Arizona is a sanctuary city in Arizona. The city disputes its listing. Mesa, Arizona. The city disputes its listing. Prescott Valley, Arizona. Source: immigration status will be ignored. Local police say August 1st, 2018, town manager disputes listing via email. To date, the town manager has not responded to my August 2nd, 2018 email request for a copy of the town's illegal alien policy evidencing its cooperation with DHS. So Prescott Valley, Arizona, is a sanctuary city. Phoenix, Arizona. South Tucson, Arizona, is a sanctuary city. Tucson, Arizona, sanctuary city. And oh my God, here we go, look to the left. California. That's California, because California is not California anymore. It's been taken over by communists, terrorists of the Democratic Liberal Socialist regime. They're not a party. They're a terrorist regime. California. Alameda County, California. Amador County, California. Bell Gardens, California. These are all sanctuary cities. Berkeley, California. Butte County, Calaveras County, California. Cathedral City, California. Cathedral City to become sanctuary city by KESQ TV. Chula Vista, California. Chula Vista's council supports state sanctuary bill. Lawsuit challenging Trump. San Diego Tribune. See, that was posted April 19th, 2017. City of Industry, California, sanctuary city. City of Commerce, California, sanctuary city. Coachella, California. Passed in 2006 and existence supported by quotes in the city's September 12, 2007 council meeting. Colusa County, California. Supervisor disputes listing. OJJPAC has requested county forward its policy for review. Contra Costa County, California. Cypress, California. Davis, California, sanctuary cities. El Dorado, California. Fremont, California. Fremont adopts sanctuary city status. East Bay Times, March 15, 2017. Fresno, California. According to the DHS DDO report. Garden Grove, California. Garden Grove City Council adopts Harmony City status. See, they're trying to play with fancy words now. Instead of sanctuary city, they're going to call it Harmony City status by the Ocean City Daily News. Glenn County, California. Greenfield, California. Battle at the ballot box in Greenfield, Monterey County, the Herald, June 1st, 2012. Hayward, California. Hayward declares itself a sanctuary city, East Times Bay, June 7th, 2017. Harrodsburg, California. Harrodsburg City Council confirms support for immigrants regardless of their status. The Press Democrat reports. Humboldt County, California. Imperial County, California, sanctuary city status. Kern County, which is Bakersfield area. Kern County, California, Bakersfield area, sanctuary city. Kings County, California. Lake County, California. La Puente, California. La Puente declares city a sanctuary for immigrants, according to the San Gabriel Valley Tribune. January 11, 2017. Lassen County, California. Livingston, California. Livingston becomes first Central Valley sanctuary city. KFSN ABC TV. May 18, 2017. Los Angeles County, California. Congressional Research Service, according to the DHS DDO report. Los Angeles County, California, sanctuary city. Long Beach, California. Wynwood, California. Malibu, California, right there along the coast along A1A, just west of Los Angeles. City Council votes to declare Malibu a sanctuary city. ABC TV, March 14th, 2017. Marion County, California, sanctuary city. Madera, California, sanctuary city. Maywood, California, not sure what it is. Mendocino, California, sanctuary. Merced County, California, sanctuary. Modoc County, California, sanctuary city. Montebello, we're not sure. Napa County, California, I'm pretty sure that's Napa Valley area in Central California, sanctuary city. National City, not sure. Nevada County, California, sanctuary city. Norwalk, California, sanctuary city. Oakland, California, doesn't say whether it is or not. Orange County, California. Palm Springs, California, out in the desert, east of Los Angeles. East of Interstate, south of Interstate 40 and just north of Interstate 10 a little bit. About 125 miles east of Los Angeles, Palm Springs, California. Palm Springs has been an unofficial sanctuary city for years. By Gustavo Solas, The Desert Sun, January 19, 2017. Paramount, California, not listed. Petaluma, California. Petaluma City Council unanimously adopts it. It won't happen here resolution. Pico Riviera, California, not listed. Piedmont, California. Piedmont Council okays Sanctuary City Resolution 5-0 by Linda Davis, East Bay Times, June 7, 2018. Placer County, California, sanctuary city. Richmond, California. Mayor Gail McLaughlin's campaign website from 2004 to 2006. I'm sure they're a sanctuary city. Riverside County, California. Sheriff says he won't hold jailed immigrants for ICE. I want to read that again. Riverside County, California. Sanctuary city. Sheriff of Riverside County, California, says he won't hold jailed immigrants for ICE. Wow. Law enforcement breaking the law. Sacramento County, California. Sanctuary city. Salinas, California. Salinas approves welcoming city resolution. Instead of calling it a sanctuary city, they're calling it a welcoming city. Trying to fool people. San Benito, California. Sanctuary city. San Bernardino. September 5th, 2008, listing disputed by the city administration. See, now they're trying to hide their status so they can continue to get federal funding by changing the names. This is how communists work. Snake oil salesmen, see? They like to change things around and kind of fool you. It's a smoke and mirrors game. This is how they, in other words, they're selling you a box of speakers. They won't let you open them up. You get them home and you open up this box and you find out there's bricks inside. There's no speakers. So this is what they're doing. This is snake oil salesman tactics. The snake oil salesman tactics, the way gypsies try to sell their snake oil. They've got a big fancy bottle with a big fancy label that says medicine on it. I mean, you get it home and find out after you bought it that what the big fancy bottle with the big fancy label isn't really medicine. It's horse piss or donkey piss. And this is how the gypsies work. These communist, socialist, liberals, these terrorists, they like to play these games, smoke and mirrors. So you got to be aware of that. San Gabriel approves Safe City Sanctuary Resolution. April 4th, 2018. Waukegan County, California, Sanctuary City. San Luis Obispo, just north of Los Angeles along A1A. Disputed by city, under review. San Mateo County, California, Sanctuary City. Santa Ana, California. Santa Barbara County, California, Sanctuary City. Santa Clara, California. We'll read this one now. Santa Clara County, California. Forced into immigration enforcement. A county considers Plan B. Santa Cruz. Doesn't really say. Santa Cruz County, California. Letter from Jim Hart, Sheriff Corner County. Congressional Research. San Francisco, California. We all know that's a sanctuary city. San Francisco County, Sanctuary City. San Jose, Sanctuary City. San Jose, Santa Maria. Submitted research from local activists. Listing disputed by the city administration. Afraid you're going to lose their federal funding. Santa Rosa, California. Sanctuary City, passed by the city of Santa Rosa on February 7th, 2017. Seaside, California. Seaside declares itself a sanctuary city. See, it says right here. A sanctuary city at risk of losing federal funds. And that's what a lot of this is. They're not wanting to report that they're not wanting to report publicly that they're a sanctuary city. Because then they're afraid that they'll lose their federal funds. See, they want all this taxpayer money from the federal government to be able to run their cities and their whatever else. So basically they want to lie and steal money and break the federal law, but they still want that money. But they want to break the law and provide illegals and criminals a sanctuary heaven to commit their crimes against you, the taxpayers that live in that city, and business owners. And they see nothing wrong with that. Meanwhile, they keep wanting to raise your local taxes, the local politicians, plus take in federal money from the federal government. Of course, they aren't going to come out and tell you that, just like I told you that. Sacramento County, California is a sanctuary city. Shasta County, California, sanctuary. Solano County, Soledad, California. Soledad becomes a sanctuary city, the Monterey Herald, March 23rd, 2017. Sonoma County, California. Sonoma agrees to take a stand in support of immigrants, illegal aliens. The Press Democrat. Sonoma County, California, sanctuary city. Can't pronounce this one. Sutter County, California, sanctuary city. Tahoma County, California. Trinity County, California. Tulare, sanctuary city. Valley Ho, California, City council names Vallejo, however you want to pronounce it, a safe haven for immigrants. The Times-Herald reports, May 25th, 2017. Ventura, California, sanctuary city. Vernon, California, doesn't say. Watsonville, California, which is way up north, not quite to the Oregon border, along the 5 there, documented sanctuary city. Windsor, California, police chief to illegal aliens. Your immigration status is completely irrelevant. Windsor, California, police chief to illegal aliens. Your immigration status is completely irrelevant. Now I want to back up. We're going to stop right here. This police chief is saying to the illegals, your immigration status is completely irrelevant. Now they've already broke the law by crossing the border illegally. So if you're an MS-13 gang member, or you're a terrorist from some other third world country, your immigration status is irrelevant. Well, I'm sure the people of California feel real safe having a communist, socialist, terrorist police chief. Because what he's doing is aiding and abetting the criminals and terrorists around the world. We'll say it again. This police chief of Windsor, California, is aiding and abetting criminal terrorists, no matter what country they're from, to help commit their crimes against you, the tax-paying public that happen to live in California. Digest that for a minute. If you live in Windsor, California, or around Windsor, California. Wilmington, California, not listed. Probably a sanctuary city. And these two here are sanctuary cities, Yolo and Yuba. I think Yuba's in the desert. Now we're going to move on to Colorado. All 64 counties in Colorado. Fort Collins, Colorado. Fort Collins Council supports welcoming immigrants, including illegal aliens. The Colorado. October 4th, 2017. Denver, Colorado, sanctuary city. Thornton, Colorado. However, the city did not forward a copy of its policy regarding illegal aliens because they don't want it known publicly to lose their federal funding. Connecticut. I don't see anything here. Here's one. New London, County, Connecticut. Council approves sanctuary city resolution. Wilmington, Connecticut. Connecticut sees increase in towns, cities exploring sanctuary city status. Florida. Not much in, well, yeah, there is a lot in Florida. Appalachia, Florida, sanctuary. Broward County, sanctuary. DeLon Springs is being removed because it is a census-designated place and has no formal municipal government. Deltona, disputed whether it's sanctuary or not. Hendry County, Florida. Report declines, but report identifies no policy, trying to hide what they are. January 28, 2017, Miami, Florida. Miami mayor rescinds, in other words, takes away, sanctuary policy. No more sanctuary city in Miami, Florida. Miami will be removed from the sanctuary cities list as soon as DHS confirms city is in full compliance. Thank you, Miami Mayor of Miami, Florida, for having the guts and the balls not to harbor criminals and terrorists from around the world in your city. Again, thank you, Miami Mayor, for having the balls and the guts not to harbor and protect and coddle criminals and terrorists from around the world in your city, according to this. So if you're the mayor of Miami, my hat's off to you. My red MAGA hat. That ought to trigger a lot of liberals that are communist, socialist terrorists. Miami Beach, Florida. Miami Beach passes pro-immigrant resolution. Jamez denies it happened. So who knows what Miami Beach, Florida is, which is different than Miami, Florida. Here's another one. Monroe County, Florida, declines but report identifies no policy. A lot of this because they don't want to be exposed and lose their federal tax dollars from you, the hard-working people. They want that tax money, but they don't want you to know whether they're harboring illegals, terrorists, and criminals in their city, but they want that tax money. Your tax money, your tax dollars. These cities want your tax dollars, federal tax dollars. That's where the federal government gets their tax dollars. From you, the working citizens, and you, the business owners, who pay your taxes. Then it's dispersed to these cities. Don't let them bullshit you. Until the immigration policy settlement agreed to by West Palm Beach and the U.S. DOJ results in statistically significant increase in arrests and deportations, West Palm Beach will remain on the list of sanctuary cities. Yeah, we read it right here. Agreed to by West Palm Beach and the U.S. Department of Justice results in statistically significant increase in arrests and deportations. West Palm Beach will remain on this list of sanctuary cities. Good. Georgia. Sanctuary city, Clayton, Georgia. Dalton, Georgia. Listing disputed by the city of Dalton. Well, sure. They don't want to be exposed. They want that federal tax dollars from you, the workers. Indiana. West Lafayette. West Lafayette Council aims to make immigrants, illegal aliens, feel welcome. Whether they're criminals or terrorists, they don't give a shit. Long as you vote for the Democrats. Don't matter how many Americans they kill or bomb or shoot, rape, rob, steal. Carbondale, Illinois. Carbondale city leaders, I'll read you so you see where I'm at. Carbondale city leaders passed resolution becoming a safe and welcoming community. Not a sanctuary city, but a safe and welcoming community. Code word for sanctuary city. Just tell it like it is. Champaign County, Illinois. Right here. We're right here right now. Will not honor ICE detainer. So you got city officials who won't honor an ICE detainer. I wonder how you'll feel over in Champaign County, Illinois, when your citizens in your community will not honor paying property taxes. Or paying taxes on their vehicles to get their license plates. Now, if you're going to allow illegals and terrorists here illegally in your county, your city, illegally, then your citizens ought to be able to not pay property taxes and not have to pay property taxes on their vehicles to get their license plates. If you're going to offer it to one, then you ought to offer it to everybody. Breaking the law is breaking the law. There are no special exceptions, but that's what you're doing. I urge the citizens of Champaign County, Illinois, to do just that. Don't pay your property taxes and refuse to pay your property taxes on your vehicles, your boats, your motorcycles, your trucks, your campers, Sea-Doos, jet skis, or whatever. What are they going to do about it? Challenge them. Challenge them in a court of law. Chicago, Illinois, we already know they're a sanctuary city thanks to communist, socialist, terrorist Rahm Emanuel, the mayor of Chicago. Cicero, which is just outside Chicago, suburb of Chicago more or less, sanctuary city. Cook County, Illinois, says requires written agreement from ICE reimbursing cost of honoring detainer. Cook County, Illinois. Urbana, Illinois. Measure passes Urbana Council on 5-1 vote. Sanctuary city. Oak Park, Illinois. Oak Park approves sanctuary city ordinance. Evanston, Illinois. Sanctuary city. The following Iowa counties will not honor ICE detainers without a court order or unless a judge has approved a probable cause warrant. Alameda, Benton, Cass, Denver, Delaware gives a whole list of all these counties in Iowa. Iowa City. Iowa City adopts limited role in immigration enforcement. Well, now let's stop right there and let me tell you why Iowa won't bend to the federal government. Because there's a lot of beef packing plants in Iowa. IBP, International Beef Processing. And they employ a lot of illegals to cut their beef and their meat. A lot of, from all over the world. Iowa has a lot of beef processing plants and they employ a lot of migrants and illegals from around the world and pay them below subpar wages and benefits to work at their plants. The thing is, they don't actually sometimes employ them. They go through a third-party contractor. And that third-party contractor hires these illegals and these migrants, effectively eliminating IBP from being responsible for those who are working there because they didn't actually hire them. It's the third-party contractor that hires these third-world migrants, illegals, to work in their beef processing plants. So therefore, it makes the third party liable for hiring and checking to see if these people are legal or not legal. And it lets IBP, these beef processing plants, chicken plants, poultry plants, and all these others across the United States, and grocery warehouses, harmless because they didn't actually hire them. They went through a third party hiring spectrum to hire these people to work in their plants and grocery warehouses. Kansas, Butler County, Sanctuary City, Findlay, Harvey, Johnson County. I don't know about Johnson County. That might be a mistake as far as I know. Shawnee County, Kansas. Wichita. Police Department policy exposed after the death of Lola Jane. Now, I don't know what that's about, so one of you is going to have to look it up. Wichita. Police Department policy exposed after the death of Lola Jane. So evidently she must have been killed by an illegal alien. And the Wichita Police Department was trying to hide the fact that they were a sanctuary city. Is the best I make of that. Because it says the department's policy in Wichita was exposed after the death of Lola Jane. KSN TV 3 on December 19th, 2008. You see how widespread all this communism is? They want everybody to think all these illegals and terrorists coming over here from all these countries are just good people. You've seen what I just showed you at the beginning of this video. People, your country has been taken over by communist and socialist terrorist regime. But you're so damn busy at your football games and your baseball games, you don't know what the hell's going on, and you depend on bullshit news like CNN and MSNBC and NPR radio and ABC, NBC, CBS, the Washington Post and the New York Times, which have all been infiltrated by communist, socialist, democratic, liberal terrorists who's hell-bent on turning the United States into a civil war. Now, I'm going to put up the link to this because I'm not going to sit here and read all these. It would take too long to upload and too long to process. But you see, somebody has spent the time to come through here and list all the cities and towns in the United States that are sanctuary cities. Cincinnati, Ohio. Mayor Mark Mallory supports immigration reform amnesty. Just think of how much your tax dollars are going to have to go to support these millions and millions of illegals, terrorists from whatever country, not just necessarily Mexico, Honduras, Guadalajara. I mean, Jesus Christ, people. And to the black people of the United States of America. Once they import in all these millions and millions and millions of illegal aliens who are going to take these lower paying jobs that many of you black Americans, African Americans are holding now, where are you going to work? Where's your kids going to work when they get grown up? If all these illegals that the democratic, communist, socialist, terrorist regime have brought in here, imported and ushered in here, what's that going to do to the black community? The American black community. There's plenty of black people that fought for this country in World War II, the Vietnam War, the Korean War, Desert Storm, and the Iraq War. They're Americans too. I don't care what their skin color is. But they're here legally. They were born and raised here. These people aren't. These people aren't from here. These people from Mexico, El Salvador, Guatemala, Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, the Middle East. They're being imported and ushered in here and given all these entitlements. And then they're going to come out and say, well, there's not enough money to go around to all you Americans, so you'll just have to go without. Wow, you watch illegals drive around in Mercedes, BMWs, and Cadillacs. People, if your country is being taken over by communist and socialist of the democratic terrorist regime, we are at war. And either you're too dumb, ignorant, and stupid to realize it, you just don't want to see it, you don't want to admit it, or you're so damn dumb and naive, you don't understand strategy, war strategy, and how you infiltrate a country, turn it upside down, and ruin it. Because you have no idea what's coming. And all this green energy talk is nothing but a way to raise even more taxes on your utility bills to the point you can't afford it. And I've got a video coming up about that shortly. I'm going to prove that to you. And it involves and affects both white and black Americans. And in my video, it shows a black woman who can't afford her utility bills because of green energy. This green energy is BS. But I'll expose that in another video in the future here shortly. It's another way to slap all kinds of taxes on your utilities, both electricity and gas, so you can't afford to have electricity to heat your home and to see by. And if you think I'm kidding and making this up, I'm not. Just wait till you see that video. It's just like this immigration deal that these Democrats are doing, trying to tell you they're just here to make a better life for themselves. Well, that may be, but 1 out of every 500 don't count. 1 person out of 500 criminals doesn't mean they're all here to make a better life for them. They're here to sell drugs. They're criminal intent. They don't give a shit about this country. Their allegiance is to Mexico. We've already seen that when they waved their Mexican flags at these rallies on U.S. soil. So don't sit there and blow smoke up our ass and try to bullshit us. We see what's going on. Virginia Beach, Virginia. The city adopted an administrative directive on August 1st, 2008, allowing Virginia Board of Police Department limited authority to inquire about immigration status. Based on this directive, the city disputes its sanctuary status. Despite the directive, the city has not provided statistical evidence of enforcement to date. Now I'm going to reread this again. This is Virginia Beach, Virginia. The city adopted an administrative directive on August 1st, 2008, allowing the Virginia Beach Police Department. I don't know why you put allowing. Should have put restricting. Limited authority to inquire about immigration status. So in other words, the Virginia Beach Police Department pulls over somebody or decides to stop somebody, whether on foot or in a car. They have limited authority. The city has restricted them from asking about their immigration status or asking to provide proof. Sounds like we got some more communist socialist terrorists in the Virginia Beach City Council. Huh. Well, you'll just have to go through all these yourself because it would take forever. Here's one good one. Wyoming. Sheriff of Teton County disputes the county's sanctuary status. A status review of Jackson Hole is in progress. So that's up in the air right now. We don't know if Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and I can't imagine Jackson Hole, Wyoming being a sanctuary city. But maybe there's a communist, socialist, terrorist sheriff up there in Teton County. And of course, Washington, D.C. The Washington, D.C., this is where we're at right here. I'll highlight it. The Washington, D.C. City Council has voted to prohibit. This is important. You got to watch and read this now. The Washington, D.C. City Council has voted to prohibit its police department from participating in the Secure Communities program in July 2010. According to an AP story, that's Associated Press, the Examiner story which states that Mayor Vincent Gray signed an order prohibiting the city's police department from inquiring about a person's immigration status. Also included in the October 8, 2014 DHS DDO report. So you got cities that are hampering and handcuffing your police department from doing their job. In other words, what you have here is a mayor and city council, communist, socialist terrorists, that have taken over City Hall or the county and have now passed laws and rules that are hampering the police chiefs and sheriffs from doing their jobs. And I think more of you police chiefs and you sheriffs, and highway patrolmen, and other federal agents need to come out and expose this. And expose those who are passing laws hampering and handcuffing you from doing your jobs. Name their names, what city council member they are, and who the mayor is, or the county commissioner. Because this way, the people are going to think that you guys ain't wanting to do your job. It's not that you're not wanting to do your job, but they're hampering you and handcuffing you from doing your job. And that isn't what the taxpayers pay you for. We're paying you to serve and protect, not to run away and cower to the communist socialist terrorists. I'm going to say it again. The taxpayers are not paying you to run away and cower and hide from the communist socialist terrorists that have taken over your city hall or your county commissioner's office. That goes for the mayor as well. And the American people are fed up. Fed up. I know I'm fed up. And I'm sure many African Americans and black Americans and legal Americans that came here legally, no matter what country they came from, they spent the money and took the time to do it right. And here the Democrats, the socialist, communist, terrorist liberals, are wanting to usher in and import in all these millions of people ahead of all those who are waiting in line, wanting to do it right. And that is not right. There's just a whole list. Tucson, Arizona has been added to the sanctuary city list. Let me see so you can just keep up where I'm at. Tucson, Arizona has been added to the sanctuary city list because the Tucson Police Department have instituted a new policy which prevents their officers from calling immigration and customs enforcement to schools and churches. Well, people of the United States of America, whether you choose to believe it or not, most of you won't because it's not going to come on national TV or from the military. You are at war. Your country is being taken over and overrun and infiltrated and overrun by criminal, illegal terrorists from foreign countries, as well as criminal terrorists that have infiltrated Washington, D.C., your Congress and Senate, state representatives, your judicial system, meaning federal and state judges, your city councils, which Grindel11 on YouTube, you can see that for yourself. He has YouTube videos of his city council in California. They've all turned to cowering and catering and coddling socialist, communist terrorists, thinking they're going to get something out of it. Your schools, public schools have been infiltrated by these communist socialist terrorists. Your universities and colleges have been infiltrated by these communist socialist terrorists. I mean, Jesus, people. Your city halls, your county governments. United States of America will no longer be the United States of America. For those of you who have not seen this movie, I'm just a messenger. In other words, I'm just a postman. We'll say it again. I'm just a postman. the postman. I deliver the message. I point it out to you. And if you don't know who the postman is, then I suggest you watch the movie with Kevin Costner called The Postman. But be careful of the postman. The postman's dangerous. Very dangerous. He's not what he appears to be, how he looks or sounds. I'm going to leave it at that. But if I were one of you communist, socialist terrorists out there, whether you're a senator, congressman, sheriff, cop, makes no difference. I'd seriously be thinking about hightailing my ass out of town. And that's my message from the postman. Again, I suggest you go watch that movie with Kevin Costner called The Postman, because I'm no different than he is. I am the postman. Congressman Louis J. Barletta has introduced legislation to punish local governments that have instituted so-called illegal alien sanctuary policies. Well, I congratulate you, Louis J. Barletta. 100%. Congressman Barletta is the former mayor of Hazleton, Pennsylvania, where he gained his first-hand knowledge of the numerous problems that illegal migration brings to local communities. While Barletta welcomes legal immigrants, as mayor of Hazleton, he witnessed the problems of local communities face when illegal aliens settle in a community, including the strain on community social services, the displacement of American workers, and increased crime. I'm going to read that again for some of you who just don't get it. While Barletta welcomes legal immigrants as mayor of Hazleton, he witnessed the problems local communities face when illegal aliens settle in a community, including the strain on community social services, the displacement of American workers, and increased crime. Well, let me tell you what the Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Terrorist agenda is. That, including the strain on community social services, once they get them all over here and they run out of money, those social services, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to want to raise your taxes or come up with new taxes to hopefully support those community social services. That means taxes on you working people that get up every day and go to work, or go to work every night and work the night shift. You're going to see less and less of your money and your paycheck because it's going to those who are here illegally that aren't working. And if they are working, they're not paying taxes because they're working for cash. They're working for cash. And they have to work for cash because they don't have a social security number. And if they do come up with a social security number, it's fake, bogus, fraudulent, stolen. So they have to work for cash. And because they work for cash, they can claim they're poor and still get all these social services. I know how it works. I know exactly how it works because I've seen it at the many grocery warehouses where those who unload trucks, known as lumpers, are paid in cash. And they don't report it to the IRS or the government. You ain't bullshitting nobody. San Francisco, Nancy Pelosi's, Dianne Feinstein's, Senator Barbara Boxer's state, and Camellia Harris' state, Jerry Brown's state, Maxine Waters' state, California, San Francisco, ignoring ICE detainers won't turn over illegal aliens. Yet crime is running rampant in California, but you don't hear the liberal news media report on it. San Francisco's revised and extreme sanctuary policy would shield Mexican illegal alien accused of double homicide. Mayor comes to his senses and has administration notify ICE about alleged killer. Read the KCBS News radio story. So California wants to harbor terrorists and criminals in their city and state. You know, people, I'm not going to show the video, but for those of us who are old enough to remember September 11th, 2001 and the attacks on the World Trade Center, as well as the first attack on the World Trade Center in 1993 by a truck bomb by three Middle Eastern men. Yeah, there was more than one attack on the World Trade Center, for those of you who have forgot. One in 93, truck bomb in the parking garage, the World Trade Center, that did not bring down the World Trade Center. And the second attack on the World Trade Center, September 11th, 2001. I'd like each of you, if I could bring back all those people that died and were severely maimed in the first attack and the second attack of the World Trade Centers, if I could bring them all back alive, every one of them, and line them all up in a room, I'd like for each of you Democratic, Communist, Socialist terrorists of the liberal regime stand before each one of them, before each one of those victims of the World Trade Center and the Pentagon and those who died in that Pennsylvania field. I'd like for you to stand before each one of them, one by one, in front of a microphone, and explain to them how you feel and why you think we should be letting criminals and criminal terrorists into this country unchecked, unvetted, and give them all kinds of free entitlements. I'd like for each one of you, especially you senators and congressmen, we'll start with Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, Eric Holder, Loretta Lynch, Kamala Harris, any of you from the Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Liberal regime, the terrorists, explain to each one of those victims, one by one from the World Trade Center, why you think we should just let these people into our country, unchecked and unvetted, and given all kinds of free entitlements after you, the victims that are listening to these idiots, lost your lives. You'll never see your loved ones again because you're dead and you can't come back. If I could bring you back, I would. I'd gather you all up in a room and let all these idiots explain to you why we should be letting all these terrorists and criminals into our country unchecked and unvetted. If I had the power to bring each and every one of you back to life, including Kate Steinle, including the 4 people that were recently murdered out west of Reno, Nevada, by an illegal alien from El Salvador. He shot him to death. If I could bring them back, and I could bring back all the victims that day of September 11th, 2001, and gather you all up in a large room, a warehouse, a gymnasium, an auditorium, and let you sit down and listen to how all these Democratic, liberal, socialist, communist terrorists of the Democratic Party explain to you why we should be letting these criminals and terrorists into our country unchecked and unvetted? I'll bet they couldn't speak. They'd be afraid to speak to you. They'd be embarrassed, ashamed, humiliated that they're this stupid. I'll bet Nancy Pelosi, Maxine Waters, Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, and the rest of these idiots that want all these illegals and migrant caravans coming over here, unchecked and unvetted, just so they can get votes for their Democratic Party, and that's the only reason, would be speechless. They'd be afraid to speak to you. It'd be total silence. They wouldn't know what to say. They'd be so humiliated, ashamed. Those idiots on CNN, Don Lemon, Jake Tapper, and the rest of you news anchors and news reporters on CNN, as well as MSNBC Joe and Mika, would be so ashamed for the way they're acting in front of 4,500, what was it, 4,800, including those in that field in Topeka, in that field in Pennsylvania, as well as the Pentagon, the World Trade Center, and all those firefighters and first responders that lost their lives, even later on to cancer from the fallout of the World Trade Center. If I could bring them all back and let all these Democrats explain to them why they think this is a good idea, I'll bet none of them could. I just wished I had the power to do that. To gather up all the victims that day of September 11th, 2001, and put you in a large warehouse, a gymnasium, or an auditorium, and let these Democratic liberals, these communist socialist terrorists, explain to you, after you already lost your life and you're dead, why this is a good idea, letting all these illegals and these criminals into our country unchecked, unvetted after what happened September 11th, 2001, as well as the first World Trade Center bombings. I'd like to see the CNN anchors and CNN reporters try to explain this to the 4,800 or so dead that lost their lives, as well as their families that lost their lives that day on September 11th, 2001. I'll bet you couldn't do it, Don Lemon, Jake Tapper, or Don and Joe and Mika of the MSNBC. I'll bet you couldn't do it. Maxine Waters, I'll bet you couldn't do it. We know you got a loud mouth and a big mouth, and the same goes for you, Ocasio-Cortez, or whatever your name is up there in New York. I'll bet you couldn't look them in the eye and explain to them why this is a good idea. Because you don't give a shit, that's why. You just flat out don't give a shit. All you care about is keeping your pathetic, no good, worthless asses in office at the taxpayers' expense and lying to us all the way. I'll leave a link to this very webpage below this video. All of you may click on it, read it for yourselves. I didn't make any of this up. I didn't make this website up. But we're at war, people. I'm not making that up. I'm not just pulling that out of thin air. This is a war. And the sooner you Americans realize that we are at war, it's not a conventional war with weapons, bombs, and airplanes. This is an invasion of the United States of America being promoted and advocated by the Democratic, Communist, Socialist, liberal terrorists, a regime to destroy the United States of America and to steal even more tax dollars from you to support these foreigners from other countries. Because that's exactly where it's headed. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is your postman. Breaking news for January 20th, 2019. Man 19 detained on immigration concerns, wanted in 4 Nevada murders. Detained on immigration concerns, wanted in 4 Nevada murders. Wait a minute, I thought Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer said that all these dreamers and migrants and illegals were coming here to make the country better. The suspect linked to the murders was in custody on an immigration hold and other charges. Investigators in northern Nevada said a suspect in the murders of 4 people, 3 of them women, is in custody on an immigration hold and other charges. Wilbur Ernest Martinez Guzman, 19, was arrested Saturday afternoon by deputies from the Carson County Sheriff's Office. That would be Carson City, Nevada. Washoe County Sheriff Darren Balam told a news conference Sunday. And if you don't know where Carson City is, it's just west of Reno, Nevada. We feel confident we have the evidence to link him to all 4 homicides, Sheriff Balam said. Investigators said the killings started on or around January 10th of 2019 in Gardnerville, a town south of Carson City, Nevada. Connie Kuntz, 56 years old, was found shot and killed in her home. On January 13th, 74-year-old Sophia Renkin was found dead in her home, approximately a mile away from Connie Kuntz, who was found shot to death in her home. The FBI joined the investigation after the bodies of married couple Gerald David, 81 years old, and Sharon David, his wife, 80 years old, were found in their home on the southern edge of Reno Wednesday. Sheriff Balam told the Associated Press on Friday that all 4 killings were similar in the use of a firearm and the removal of objects from the victims' homes. The sheriff urged residents to turn on the outside lights, secure their homes, and refuse to open the door for anyone they didn't know. Wow. Maybe we need that border wall that Trump's talking about, huh? Nancy Pelosi. On Sunday, Douglas County Sheriff Dan Coberly told the Reno and Carson City communities, "We feel strongly that we have the man responsible for this and that you can continue to go about your daily activities and live normally." Carson City Sheriff Ken Furlow told reporters a tip led investigators to surveil Martinez Guzman, who had lived in the Carson City, Nevada area for approximately 1 year. Furlow added that immigration officials had said that Martinez Guzman was likely in the United States illegally and was detainable. Martinez Guzman was being held in the Carson City Jail on Sunday and was charged with burglary, possession of stolen property, and obtaining money under false pretenses. Furlong added that an immigration hold had been placed on the suspect, who was not known to his office. Washoe County District Attorney Chris Hicks said authorities would seek arrest warrants against Martin S. Guzman for the murders in the coming days. But Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Maxine Waters, and the rest of you Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Liberals out there, your story's got so many holes in it, it's pathetic. Everybody knows why you want to import in and ship all these foreigners into the United States illegally, hoping they'll vote Democratic to keep your communist, socialist, terrorist ass in office so you can bankrupt this country and turn this country inside out. That is your MO. That is your agenda, and there's no use lying about it. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, arrest warrants ought to be issued for both of you for murder. For murder, aiding and abetting. And the fact that you're Congress, a member of Congress, makes no difference. You should be hunted down, just like those 4 people were hunted down, and the same thing done to you. You're scum to America. You're scum to the United States. And you can't handle Donald Trump standing up against your communist, socialist, terrorist agenda. You people are sick, pathetic, and mentally twisted. And Nancy Pelosi, everybody knows you got dementia. You don't even know what the Sam hell you're talking about half the time. You think George Bush is president. You can't even get your words together, Nancy Pissosi. As far as I'm concerned, you can shove a brick up your ass. You and Chuck Schumer both, and the rest of you Democratic, liberal, communist, socialist, terrorist to the United States. Every damn one of you. Now you go over there, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Maxine Waters, and you tell the families of these 4 dead how a border wall is immoral. You meet with them in person and tell them in front of their face how a border wall is immoral. And then you can tell the parents of Kate Steinle how a border wall is immoral. And the rest of the Americans who have been killed by illegals, whether it's hit and runs, accidents, murders, shootings, you go tell them. But no, Nancy Pelosi's too chicken shit to meet with angel moms. Isn't that right, Nancy Pelosi? While you have walls around your properties. Well, do you remember one thing, Nancy? I got a truckload of 250 criminal migrants coming up I'm paid for. 250 coming to your property, your homes in California. They're in Napa Valley, your vineyard, and in San Francisco. They're going to take up residence in your properties. You remember that, Nancy Pelosi. And this, on January 28th, 2019. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez open to scrapping ICE. Well, of course she is. She's a communist, a socialist. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said Sunday night in a social media post that the U.S. Immigration and Customs and Enforcement ICE agency should be scrapped. Oh, yeah, sure it should. Ocasio-Cortez, who represents the 14th Congressional District of New York in the Bronx, responded to a Twitter user who said his bus in Washington state was boarded by ICE agents who questioned passengers about their status, even claiming their papers were fake. And you can read on through here, but this is what the communist socialists want. They want to do away with all these laws and flood the United States with all these illegals. That's what Ocasio-Cortez wants. As they promise them all kinds of phony, fake benefits. I'm telling you, this little gal here, who's being propped up by communist, socialist Bernie Sanders, because that's what he is. That's exactly what they are. They're communist socialists. They're terrorists is what they are. Terrorists to America. The United States of America. Both of them. Along with Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, yep. Read it. Slow it down and read it. Take time to read it. These people are dangerous. This little girl here, she thinks she's got all the answers. She thinks she's going to run for president. It's coming. And all these little communist, socialist bastards. Ocasio-Cortez, a self-described democratic socialist communist. I think we need to show little Miss Cortez we mean business. Let's do it hardcore. This appeared several weeks ago in the news. Migrant group demand Trump either let them in or pay them each $50,000 to turn around. Demand Trump either let them in or pay them each $50,000 to turn around. Yeah. This is the kind of stupidity that's coming up from the other side of the border. Pay them each $50,000 to turn around. And they're not just coming up here on their own. They're being helped by this group, this woman out of Chicago. She's helping fund these migrant caravans to the U.S. border. Her and the Democrats. To flood the United States with all these illegals and give them entitlements at the U.S. taxpayers' expense and keeping it from you. And don't expect CNN or MSNBC, Joe and Mika, or CNN's Don Lemon, Jake Tapper, or anybody else from CNN or NPR, National Public Radio, to come out and expose this. Flooding the United States with illegals, some of them with diseases, some of them with severe health problems. The country is being taken over by communists from the third world countries. And they're trying to convince the Americans that it's all right. And the Democratic politicians are trying to hide this, the communist politicians in the United States. Nancy Pelosi, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Obama. This is the only way these communist Democrats can get elected. They are the terrorists to the United States of America. These democratic, liberal, communist politicians. And if the Republican Party don't get their heads out of their ass and start backing and supporting Trump, you're not going to be in office long. You may not be breathing oxygen long. People, the United States of America is under attack, whether you believe it or not. When you've got millions of illegals crossing your border, many with health problems, many with phony fake agendas to push drugs, crime, you got a real problem on your hands. Some of you are asleep. Some of you will bury your head in the sand and choose not to believe it. What you've got is a communist, terroristic takeover of the United States by the Democratic, Liberal, Communist Socialist Party. And they've already infiltrated the United States government. Now, you can bury your head in the sand all you want. You can pretend and ignore that it's not happening. But it's coming to a neighborhood near you. It's coming to a town near you, a city near you. Many of you have already witnessed it and experienced it. Y'all better wake up. If you're not awake, you better wake up. And just voting isn't going to do it. Just voting is not going to make things right. It's going to take more than that because we let our guard down. We're being infiltrated by enemy forces from the communist, socialist regime. And they are hell-bent on destroying America and Americans with it. And they don't care how they do it, as long as they get it done. And they're going to lie to you up one side and down the other and deceive you like you've never been deceived. I suggest you wake up, lock and load.
All right, so I want to try to clarify some of what you've been hearing in the news media about this caravan moving north into the United States. First of all, the people in this caravan are not being paid to join the caravan. Their payoff comes when they get to the U.S. They are, however, being facilitated and enabled by groups like the UN, other NGOs, and by church groups who are feeding them and providing them support on their journey north. Now, the other questions have been, are there felons, are there bad guys in this group? And I can tell you, it didn't take me long to find 4 or 5 right away who are absolute felons that are coming north to try to get back into the United States. Here's one of them.
Ha visitado, sí.
¿Cuántas veces?
4.
4 veces. Pero ¿cuánto tiempo ha pasado adentro de los Estados Unidos?
A veces 2 meses, a veces
2 meses.
Sí, a veces 1 mes. Así.
No mucho.
Sí, no muchos presos ahí. Ahí en los centros de detención.
Now, the other issue that we're seeing is people are asking about whether or not there are what you would call exotics, that is, people who are not from Central America that are joining this caravan. And let me just show you what I found a few minutes ago. Hey, Somalia! ¿Cómo están? ¿Todo bien? ¿Cuándo van a salir?
No español.
Oh, no speak Spanish.
I speak English.
English. When are you going to the United States?
I don't know. When I have a chance, maybe week, day.
What are you waiting for?
We want to take some rest, we retire from the road.
I'm sorry, what?
We want to take some rest,
Oh, you want to rest a little bit. Where did you start?
I started for Brazil,
Oh, you went all the way to Brazil and came up from Brazil. Did you walk through the Darien?
There's some road we must to walk, to cross it by walk.
Now, lastly, it bears pointing out that there are some people who are saying this is too difficult, it's too hard, and I want to go home. And I found two people like that yesterday and actually helped them get back to the border of Guatemala. Take a look at what they had to say.
Look, it was really hard. There are lots of people in the group, some good, some bad. While we were all sleeping together, someone took my phone. I decided to go back because of my daughter. Carrying her while we walked, I became so tired, and the sun and everything affected us both a lot. My dream has always been to go to the United States, because it's so beautiful, to work and improve the lives of me and my family, and more than anything to give my daughter a better future.
A lot more people would probably choose to go back home if it wasn't being made easier to get to the United States by a lot of well-meaning groups who are helping these migrants. And we can know one thing for sure, and that is that there'll be a lot more caravans behind this one because everybody is ready to take advantage of the infrastructure being created by this caravan. And so we have to think hard about how we're going to help these people, but also help ourselves. I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News from Tapachula, Mexico.
A new poll finding Americans believe immigration and illegal aliens are the top issues facing the United States. A total of 21% of Americans say they're concerned about immigration. That's up from 13% just last month. Well, my next guest embedded himself in the caravan to find out why migrants are headed toward our southern border.
I'm here in southern Mexico in the state of Oaxaca, an area of Mexico which is riddled with narco crime and cursed with extreme poverty. It's also where the camp and base of the caravan is for the night. They're settled here as they continue their trek on to the United States.
Joining me now, that documentary filmmaker, Ami Horowitz. Ami, thank you for being here. Okay, the pictures we see of the caravan, the thousands of people trudging their way north, a lot of women, a lot of children, people fearful for their lives. You embedded yourself with this group for a couple of days. What did you find?
Not that.
Not that.
Not that. So that's the narrative that you hear, right? And
right.
The complicity with the mainstream media, with the organizer of this caravan is amazing, and it's sad, actually. So yes, when we went there, we wanted to find out what exactly was going on, and what we found was very different from what you just described. So, for example, when you see any kind of framing of a video or a picture, the New York Times, the Washington Post, the BBC, CNN, what do you see? Women and children everywhere.
Yep.
There are some. 90 to 95%, by my estimation, were all men. Okay.
Young men.
Young, older,
middle-aged,
but all men. And the first question I asked them, a very simple question: why are you coming to America? Now, again, the narrative, I'll keep going back to this. What you hear is they're escaping daily violence. Their lives are at risk. At any moment, they could be killed. So I asked them, why are you moving? And you would think they would say the violence. Not a single person unprompted said violence. Not a single person.
What did they say?
Work, education, better lives, all things that you and I would like to have.
Of course.
And frankly, if I were them, I would probably also want to come to America. But the question is, do we have a moral responsibility to take in every single person who wants an upgrade in their lives? I would say this country wouldn't exist if we did it that way.
Right. So in other words, the narrative is, so you're saying this is highly organized. This isn't a group of people who came together and in search of a better life. There is actually organization going on here. What level of organization is going on?
As high level as you can get. I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
So again, going back to this narrative that you hear from the mainstream media, you hear it was a wellspring, completely organic,
right.
And everything they had when they on the way was manna from heaven. Somehow, all the millions of dollars in water and in food, in chartered buses, in literally mobile hospitals, all sort of just came out of nowhere, combustible, just came out of the sky. The reality is, it's highly organized.
So who's doing the organizing of it?
So there's a group called Pueblo Sin Frontera, which means people without borders. By the way, it tells you a lot about what their intention is.
Sure.
They don't believe in borders. They want a free flow of people. And frankly, they also want to essentially try to undermine U.S. sovereignty and border security and to stick it in the eye of Trump. That's what their goals are. And there are hundreds of them working there, You can't walk around anywhere in the migrants and not see these guys in their black T-shirts.
This is a deliberate effort.
Completely organized from I don't know how long before, but it didn't come out from the ground. It was not spontaneous.
Were they aware of who you were at all? Were they suspicious of you? Were they saying, "Hey, what are you doing? What kind of questions are you asking?" I mean, did you feel you were?
They were highly
being
suspicious.
Followed?
They were, and I was being followed. We had to actually do some kind of like kind of moves to get away from them and grab people and kind of move them away so they couldn't see what we're saying. By the way, they were very suspicious of anybody from possibly could be from Fox News. They said to me, Fox News has been around here, so we're very suspicious of what's going on. They're creating. Get this. This is an area of narco violence, some of the greatest narco violence in Mexico. Fox News is creating an unsafe environment.
That's what they told you?
That's what they told me.
Are you serious?
Oh, I'm deadly serious. No pun intended.
So now the president say within this group of migrants are dangerous criminals, people that we don't know, we can't vet, and they present a national security problem. Would you agree with that?
So I would say this. Most people I met seem to be good people, seem to just want a better life. Now, again, they're not wearing signs saying I committed acts of violence in my hometown. I understand that. I will say this, though. I did speak with a number of people, and one group in particular, a group of trans who were leaving because they, again, want a better life, a difficult life for them in El Salvador and Honduras. And what they said to me was they have been beaten violently during the course of this trip, but they want to get to America so badly they're willing to endure it. But it's been a very difficult time for them. And other people said to me, no, there are some bad people here, but most of us are good. So I take them on his word. But no, there are some bad people. I don't think everybody there is going to commit acts of violence in America. They're not all going to be criminals. But for sure, that element does exist there.
Were they aware of the troops that were waiting for them and the narrative from the president, but it didn't deter them?
No, they're being told. They're literally being trained. And if you in the video, the people organizing are telling me we're training them how to speak to the press, and we're training them how to answer authorities when you get to America in order to have a better chance to qualify for asylum.
Wow. Fascinating.
Highly organized.
But what's incredible to me is this narrative is never heard. I haven't heard this from one reporter covering this.
That's why I'm on your show.
Of course.
That's why I'm here.
But it's shocking. Why am I shocked? I just am. I'm amazed. Absolutely amazed. Ami, thank you so much for being here tonight. Ami Horowitz. Fascinating. Where can we see this, by the way?
You can go to amihorowitz.com. You can watch it on my YouTube channel, Facebook. It's all over the place.
It's all over the place. Thank you very much, Ami. Appreciate it.
I'm Ami Horowitz, and we've been hearing a lot about the migrant caravan in the news. The caravan is a giant group of people that emanated, for the most part, in Honduras and are heading up to the U.S. A lot has been said about this caravan, so I decided to go down, check it out for myself, and figure out what is the reality versus the fiction. I'm here in southern Mexico in the state of Oaxaca, an area of Mexico which is riddled with narco crime and cursed with extreme poverty. It's also where the camp and base of the caravan is for the night. They're settled here as they continue their trek on to the United States. Despite the framing of the caravan as being full of women and children, the reality on the ground is quite different. Approximately 90 to 95% of the migrants were male. The major narrative being pushed by the press has been that the migrants are leaving Honduras because they're escaping extreme violence and that their lives are under constant threat, setting up the strategy that they would be able to enter the U.S. by asking for asylum. So I started by asking them a simple question. Why are you coming to America?
¿Qué quieres irte a Estados Unidos? Bueno, voy buscando una mejor vida económica. Venir a trabajar aquí a Estados Unidos. A ver si podemos trabajar allá porque en Honduras no hay trabajo. Pues buscando una vida mejor porque en Honduras no hay trabajo. Por trabajos. Y vengo a trabajar porque quiero ir a terminar mis estudios allá. Terminar estudios en mi caso.
Come on, don't you just want to meet Caitlyn Jenner?
Ah, ya más a mujer.
There's a massive logistical effort underway, akin to moving an army, and is clearly costing someone millions of dollars for the transportation, food, water, medicine, and services that are being provided for the members of the caravan. It's a supply chain that is being delivered by an army of trucks, which are all necessary to keep this enormous group moving forward. This is a truck actually carrying generic Gatorade.
It's got electrolytes.
The Mexican government also seems to be sending police to escort the dozens of buses and trucks that are ferrying the migrants and supplies along the route to the next destination. Ever present among the thousands of migrants are workers of Pueblo Sin Fronteras, clad in black t-shirts and colored vests. Pueblo Sin Fronteras means people without borders. They're the ones that seem to be most involved in organizing and mobilizing this caravan. The organization, as the name implies, is looking to create a world without borders, which seems to be one of the reasons why they organized this caravan in the first place, to flout American sovereignty. Many of the Frontera workers have a very interesting perspective on the United States, particularly since they're trying to move all of these migrants into our country.
Estados Unidos para mí ya no es, para mí no es nada, ya pues, porque Estados Unidos ya hay mucho racismo para nosotros de Honduras.
This is one of the organizers on the ground with Pueblos Sin Fronteras, and she explains how they help the migrants game the U.S. immigration system.
We're working on collaborating with a lot of organizations to do large-scale legal orientation so that we understand their options for refugee and humanitarian protection here in Mexico, as well as their rights to request asylum in the States, and provide mass presentations about Know Your Rights. They call them Know Your Rights presentations, like to bring people together and make sure they understand that they can organize and they can fight for their rights.
Are you helping them on how to speak to reporters and
training folks on how to deal with press? So like I was telling Fox News here, I was like asking really scary questions.
They made a kind of unsafe environment?
Yeah, of course.
How many of you are there? How many from the organization? From
hundreds.
The United Nations has been very active with the caravan from the moment it crossed the border. Several of its agencies are on the ground with them and have expended a great deal of time and money on helping the caravan move along. I made a call to Maria Ruby from the Office of the UN High Commission for Refugees. Maria, now you guys have been on the ground with the refugees from the moment they crossed the border, correct?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
It's a number of organizations, right? Not just the High Commission for Refugees, but also UNICEF and some other UN organizations that are helping them, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, I can tell you that, for example, in Tapachula, in Chiapas, we were the only one that is still there. Now here in Mexico City, you see more organizations. But yeah, that's right. I mean, we've been there from the very beginning.
I mean, after Trump's consistent attacks on the UN, this is kind of a great way to stick it back in the eye of Trump, huh?
Yeah.
Continuing my trip with the migrants, I decided to hop on the back of one of these trucks and hitch a ride with them. So now we're heading to the next location where there'll be food, water, and shelter for everybody. This is one of the many, many trucks and buses that are part of this caravan that are ferrying these guys from one location to another on the way to the United States. At the base camp, there's a mobile hospital stocked with enough pharmaceutical drugs to make Keith Richards blush. There's also plenty of doctors and nurses attending to all of the migrants' needs. America also has very generous benefits for people who live in America. Is that something you want to take advantage of as well?
Así es. Sí, claro que sí, para poder salir adelante por medio de esos beneficios.
Pues bueno, me lo traje a él y al niño, pero el niño me ha dado problema porque ha desmayado.
Do you think that your son can have better treatment in the United States as opposed to Honduras?
Pues esa es la confianza que tenemos en Dios.
While it does seem as the majority of these migrants are friendly and simply trying to make a better life for themselves and their families, there's an undeniable element of the migrants who are violent and dangerous. And many of the migrants know this, and some have experienced it.
En el viaje hemos recibido agresiones verbales, físicas.
Y también hay gente que va huyendo también porque debe cosas también que ha hecho.
Lo que más nos enoja a nosotros es que nosotros no les damos el motivo como para que hagan eso.
Por unos pagamos todos, hay unos poquitos que son maleantes y por uno se paga todo, yo sé que se paga todo, ¿verdad?
De hecho, se hizo una organización, un señor hizo una organización en donde nos van a poner aparte a nosotros para que no nos salgan.
There are probably several billion people in the world who are seeking a better life. Do these migrants think that all of them should be allowed to enter the U.S.? Should America let in anybody who wants to come in?
Es la idea y es lo que nosotros queremos.
Porque todos venimos con necesidad. Pues la verdad sí.
Pues la verdad que sí.
Pues claro que sí, porque va mucha gente necesitada y va huyendo por los motivos de nuestro país.
It seems to me that there are leftist organizations that are using these migrants as a tool to push a certain political agenda, which includes the weakening of American sovereignty and our border security. It seems to me that there are leftist organizations that are using these migrants as a tool to push a certain political agenda, which includes the weakening of American sovereignty and our border security. It seems to me that there are leftist organizations that are using these migrants as a tool to push a certain political agenda, which includes the weakening of American sovereignty and our border security. And unfortunately, these migrants are going to be caught in the crossfire.
Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. Here's a funny thing that we noticed the other day. People debate all the time about mass immigration. What you never hear anybody do is make the economic case for mass immigration. And here's why. Our country's economy is becoming more automated and tech-centered by the day. It's obvious that we need more scientists and skilled engineers, but that's not what we're getting. Instead, we're getting waves of people with high school educations or less. Nice people, no one doubts that, but as an economic matter, this is insane. It's indefensible, so nobody even tries to defend it. Instead, our leaders demand that you shut up and accept this. We have a moral obligation to admit the world's poor, they tell us, even if it makes our own country poorer and dirtier and more divided. Immigration is a form of atonement. Previous leaders of our country committed sins. We must pay for those sins by welcoming an endless chain of migrant caravans. That's the argument they make. If it sounds like something that some dopey sociology professor at Long Beach State thought up half drunk in the 70s, you're right. That's pretty much exactly what it is. And yet somehow the immigration as atonement idea has become the official position of virtually every guilty liberal in the United States. Our tech overlords, the ones always lecturing you, corporate America, Nancy Pelosi, and Paul Ryan. They all believe this. And anyone who disagrees with them is denounced as a bigot and fired. What's so amusing, though, is that nobody ever bothered to explain any of these rules to the people of Tijuana. Tijuana is in Mexico, which means they're Mexican citizens. And by academic definitions popular in this country, they must be oppressed. Nobody in the American left ever imagined that the people of Tijuana would display the classic symptoms of white privilege. And yet, when a caravan of Honduran immigrants showed up in their city uninvited, that's exactly what they did.
We know of incidences here in Tijuana and in other cities that some of these people that are coming into with these caravans are committing crimes. This is not about racism. We don't dislike a certain group of people because they're from a country, one country or another. We are here because our government has not taken control of these, what we call invasion.
The country have to be beware of these people because they are people, they are bad people.
Well, it sounds like a Trump rally. When did Mexican citizens start talking like this? It's confusing, and of course, it's also deeply hilarious and pretty satisfying to watch. What's more predictable is how leaders of the caravan are starting to talk. Suddenly, they sound like community college professors from Long Beach, entitled, cut off from reality, and highly aggressive. Yesterday, a group of leaders of the caravan marched into the U.S. consulate in Mexico and demanded $50,000 in exchange for returning to their own countries. Huddled masses yearning to breathe free? Nope. Cynical shakedown artists who've been watching too much CNN. No surprise there. When rich liberals tell you that America owes you a comfortable life, nobody should be shocked when you believe them. Well, Genaro Lopez is a municipal official from Tijuana, an elected official. He's not a bigot. He's not suffering from white privilege or toxic masculinity. He's just a citizen who's upset about what is happening to the city he loves. He joins us from just across the border in Tijuana. Mr. Lopez, thank you for joining us. We in the United States were told that the migrant caravan would make our country better, would improve America. Has the migrant caravan made Tijuana better? What has been the effect of having the caravan in your city?
Hi, Tucker. Good afternoon from Tijuana. Things aren't getting better. They're probably getting worse. Last weekend, we issued an ultimatum to all the Hondurans and Guatemalans that are camping out here on the street. They're blocking the street and they're doing all their necessities, trashing the street. And we have a school closed here. This is the third week being closed, and they won't open until these guys leave. And we issued an ultimatum for 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They had to go. Sunday, they will be removed by force. And a priest came here. He's very well known, Padre Solalinde, and he talked with them and said they shouldn't go, that they should stay, that he would talk to the federal authorities. So Sunday, the director of disaster relief from Mexico City, he issued an order to stop and don't remove them by force. So they're still here. Problems are still going on. There's been like 280 arrests. Before it was only for drug possession and being drunk in the streets. Now it's for breaking and entering into homes. People have even made citizens arrest of them. And things aren't very nice here, and the neighborhoods is tired of them, the merchants, and the schools.
So you've had home break-ins. Are you certain that it was migrant caravan members who broke into those homes?
Yeah, there's a video on Facebook, and in the video he says his name, and he says he's from Honduras.
How are the police handling
Also, we had well, police are on 24-hour alert on this, and they're worried about this because we don't want crime rate to go up here in Mexico. We are a very tourist town, and we live of tourism, and Christmas season is one of our best times for tourism here and for sales, and things aren't very good right now. Also, we don't want these migrants to make the U.S. nervous, and they had 2 marches this Sunday from the new shelter. They made a march to the U.S. consulate, and they delivered 2 letters. One was directed directly to President Donald Trump, and they were demanding that if they didn't get political asylum from the U.S., he should pay them $50,000 to go honorably back home. And also they were demanding that he should extradite President Juan Orlando Hernandez from Honduras to the United States, and he should remove 13 big military bases and big businesses from the United States that are in Honduras, and they're accusing them of depleting the Honduran economy.
So they're demanding money or they won't leave. That sounds like an extortion attempt.
Yeah. Sounds like a ransom, yeah. If you want them to go back, you have to give $50,000 to each one of them.
So
but like 700 have been... Yeah.
I was just saying that the political leaders in the United States encouraged this caravan, and media figures, people on television in this country, encouraged the caravan to come north. Now they're in your city. What would you say to the politicians and media figures in the U.S. who encouraged them to come to Tijuana?
Well, Tijuana is a great town. It opens its arms to anyone who wants to come here in peace and to live here. No problem. But if you come here in a violent move, if you come here against our sovereignty, you're not welcome here. Really, we don't want these problems. We have our own problems, and we're dealing with them.
Yeah.
We don't want problems from other countries to start invading us here and creating all this havoc that has been happening.
Yeah, closed schools, people living in the street, home invasions. I can see why. Our heart goes out to you, Mr. Lopez. Thank you very much for that update tonight.
Okay, thank you.
Immigration used to be considered a matter of policy, and people debated it on those terms. Now, increasingly, the question is framed in theological terms. One of America's great moral leaders, Nancy Pelosi, does that. Here's an example.
Most of us, speaking for myself, consider the wall immoral, ineffective. He also promised Mexico would pay for it. So even if they did, it's immoral still.
Minerva Carcaño is a bishop in the United Methodist Church. She traveled to the border to protest the plight of the migrants there, and she joins us tonight. Bishop, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
So I don't know if you saw the interview we just did with Mr. Lopez as an elected municipal leader in Tijuana, but he described a scene, and we had pictures of it, where hundreds, thousands of migrants are living in the open air, and the city of Tijuana is being very disrupted by this. Schools have closed, many arrests have been made. For some, in cases, serious crimes. He said that recently religious leaders came to the migrant encampment and encouraged the migrants to stay living in tents in the middle of Tijuana. And I wonder what you make of that as a religious leader yourself.
I'm aware of the fact that religious leaders, among them Methodists from the Methodist Church of Mexico, have been compassionately feeding these migrants. I've seen these migrants. I know their plight. They are migrants who have left their homes, not because they wanted to leave their homes, but because they face poverty and great violence. Mm-hmm. And so they've migrated. They have a right to migrate. They have a right to asylum at the border, to receive due process for asylum. These are people who need humanity, to extend compassion to them and love and care. It may discomfort some, but this is a moment in which we can show the best of humanity. I'm not aware of what was just described. You showed pictures. I was not able to see them, but I am aware of the plight of the migrants.
Right, and so are we, and I think that our heart goes out to anybody who walks a great distance to get a better life, and I've always assumed that most migrants are decent people. But there's a huge cost, not to the Methodist Church, but to the taxpayers of Tijuana and the United States, to every person who comes here in poverty with low skills. Some estimates suggest the cost is hundreds of thousands per immigrant over a lifetime. The Methodist Church is not paying that bill. U.S. taxpayers are. So I wonder if that's a factor in your consideration. Shouldn't you be paying for the people that you encourage to come here? Why aren't you?
Migrants aren't costing this country in the way that you describe. These migrants who come to this country are contributing to our society, actually are contributing to the economic base. Many of them are paying into our Social Security. They don't benefit from that Social Security money that they're contributing. Many of them are working 2 and 3 jobs. I've lived and served in Texas and all across the Southwest and the West, and these folks contribute more, much more than they receive from our country, from our state, and from our communities.
Hold on. And as a mathematical question, that's not true. And I think there's a great moral contribution of poor immigrants. I'm not attacking them personally. I hold no animus toward them. But a lot of study has been done on this, and people who come to this country with less than a high school education take more services by a huge margin than they pay into the system. Now, you don't pay any taxes in your church because you have a tax exemption. The rest of us work for companies that do pay taxes. We pay taxes, so we're supporting the policies that you're encouraging. And I wonder why it's virtuous of you to do that. If you are encouraging people to come here, why don't you have an obligation to provide them education, housing, food, medical care? But you offload that onto taxpayers, and I wonder why that's a Christian thing to do.
Every single United Methodist pays taxes in the United States, and so this is kind of
a does not. You have a tax
way
exemption.
to skew the conversation. Every single United Methodist member of our churches pays taxes. These are people who pay into our system, and they contribute to the economic viability of our country. I live and serve in the state of California. The economic agricultural base of California would just diminish, if not be totally undermined, if it weren't for these migrants who are coming and assuming jobs that people in this country won't take on because they feel it's beneath them and beneath their efforts.
Okay, so you're on the side of employers who want to pay third world wages to their workers. That's where you are in this question. But I want to ask you a theological question because you're not an economist. You're not an, of course you are. You're on the side
who are willing to pay less to these
big
persons.
agricultural
And the
companies that want to hire people for less.
The economic studies I'm reading are different from the ones that you are quoting.
But let me ask you a theological question, because that is your area of expertise. If I force you to put money in the collection plate in my name, which is what you're doing with U.S. taxpayers, do I get the credit from God for donating to the church? In other words, why don't you, as a church, make certain that every person you encourage to come here is fed and housed and educated and healed at your expense? How can you feel virtuous when you're not paying for the things that you're encouraging? I don't understand. How does that work?
First of all, we're not encouraging people to come.
Yes,
we're trying to help them stay. No, we're not. But when they come because they've hit a desperate place in their lives, we're going to care for them. We're going to seek justice for them. We're going to ask
You're going to care for them. Do you pay for their medical expenses? Any of them? I don't think you do.
You know, we do. We do. We
really?
care
You do?
for
How
their
much
food.
do you spend a year on that?
We care for their housing. We care for their care. We spend millions of dollars as United Methodists, and we're not the only ones. The Catholic Church,
American taxpayers spend $135 billion on this. I think that's more than... Look, I'm just saying, if you're going to encourage people to come in here, I think you should pitch in a little bit more than you are, and then you can call it virtue.
we do pitch in to care for them in ways beyond your understanding, and we do so out of a sense of justice.
Okay. Bishop, thank you for joining us tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you.